that one that still fits, unlike the other British, probably upper class one I had. Magnificent one, it's too small unfortunately. It's that one I purchased. When I purchased it, it was too large, but I actually purchased it because it was only 50 euros, and probably actually very early 1900s. Probably I did it to 1903 to 1908. I'm going to do the details of why that is. But it is not upper middle class, certainly not upper class, probably middle class, because most of the stitching is done by machine, I figured out. But it was new, it had never been worn, and I only got it for 50 euros, which is exceedingly cheap. And it fitted me when I could try it out because it was in a second-hand shop that had nothing to do with antiques, but for some reason they had that. So I just bought it, and now that it fits me, before it becomes actually too snug in case I get more weight, I'm running it. It's so it is very clever and delicate, but it is French. Clearly manufactured, fully in France and created French, and much less, as I was telling, much less interlining. If you had watched the other playlist, I explain why. And the lining is actually polished cotton, which is obviously cheaper and more long-lasting than silk. And only the finishing, even the buttonholes, which are very cheap, because back then the machines with the buttonholes were basically almost just the same machine, the normal regular. They did not have upgraded sewing machines for buttonholes that imitate a hand sewn, so they actually died because I used to button it, so I stopped buttoning it. They look very cheap compared to the hand sewn buttonholes. And that is a false cuff. But some upper class coats had false cuffs, all that, usually it was a genuine cuff. And especially if it does not open, it only is a stitching there. They generally open it and re-stitch it there, but that is actually just a stitch. And then the two buttons are just there, and they are not embroidered silk covered, they are simply silk covered. So it is still silk, but a cheap silk, so it wears out quickly. The cheap silk that came into, yeah, whatever, and it is not embroidered. But still, even to get such a quality coat, even simply in terms of quality today, would be super difficult, expensive, because for example none of the lining is actually fused, it is all a floating lining. So that. So it still looks very much unlike what the British would have worn even in the 1890s. Really, when it's worn in for observers like me, they can see that it sort of drapes more and has more wrinkles, because obviously the cloth in itself would likely have been thicker for the British coat, and especially even for summer British coat, it would have had way more interlining, thicker interlinings. Now, so I did the top hat. Top hat would be the only generally accurate piece, as in not only a super good production, but generally an original that is probably worn. So it is amazing that an original worn by an actual upper class person, or at least upper middle class British person. So maybe he was from Holland, but anyhow he lived in Britain and wore British top hats, so who cares? So because this is a fragile, I will put it away. The gloves, for I'm living in Dubai, I have thick gloves, but these are actually like linen that I found second hand, because again I bought second hand items on eBay and they don't fit great, but they look great, they look the part because they are matte and not shiny, and thus more appropriate for morning, again it should not shine. Normally I would have a malacol, but as I explained, I do not have it yet because I need to get back to France to get the size reduced. And so in Dubai I would wear spectacles. I wouldn't get a lanyard because I have chains, but I say impractical because often in Dubai when it is hot, and thus when I actually have to wear the spectacles for the sun, I would have, I might take off my coat at least at some point when I enter into a car or whatever, and thus the chain has to button there, so I would have to get an original lanyard, which is easy to find. The spectacles themselves are not original. This is something that is probably 30 years old or 20 years at least, that belongs to the family, and the shape sort of looks like what they had back then, so I wanted to use them. Initially when they're black, I shall get, at least try my best to get the closest thing to a British upper class original spectacle pair. So I dealt with the gloves and the spectacles. eyewear, whatever. So I also did the. So I will start. So for you to get the idea of what is by very sort of dandyish, foppish man like me, British upper class, and also there would have been more in the British upper class. Although a few would have been as foppish as me, but they would have worn the same items. In other words, even if not really a glove like that, they would have worn gloves, if there was sun, spectacles, top hat, a corset, all those layers, all those types of clothing they would have worn it. Like, it's not like some of them would not skip the waistcoat or the spectacles or whatever. So, before I will deal with the shoes I can't find my own shoe size individuals, and because I want second-hand clothing I had found these in a charity shop. These are actually before these shoes, before I talked about them in the 1890s men dressing playlist, because I was wearing them. Before brands like STRIP-TEASE were known, or before brands like Gazelle and Gerling were created, at least for a long period of time, and probably when these were made, these would have been the highest quality available of entirely machine-made, ready-made footwear. So it has still quite much higher quality than most things you find, and so even the heel is sort of wood composed, but the leather is quite high quality. I'm wearing them with the original 1800. I got it from a seller in 2013-14. He had bought them in the 1970s in Lebanon from a household which mentioned the family was selling it, and they told him, the lady told him that her father, she was an old lady, wore those, had those in the 1910s, but are way too small now, those spats. And I wear them because I have them, and because they become completely too small, and because I don't have boots, I want to finish those shoes first. So it looks more appropriate, I think, and also it protects a bit from the polish of the shoes. So, I don't know if they really show that. I showed these shoes and things on Instagram. So, the heel of the shoe had worn out many times, and every time it had worn out, I asked the cobbler to actually replace it with a full leather heel, no rubber. But this time, to sort of trick me, they told me it would be full rubber, solid leather, but there is a rubber part on the side corner, if it makes sense. So this part is actually rubber, but it can't be perfect. Next time I will insist or bring it to the cobbler I used to bring it to, which has a full leather heel. So this is really a good example of showing if one wants to be like me and more ecological, better philosophy, even if you are not the average height of bandit, it's still at least possible to get still a very authentic look, although not theoretically very accurate. And some things will be theoretically generally accurate, so because they will generally be original and from the social class you want, from the country you desire. So I took up the frock coat, and what's going on below? A lot of things are going on. This is where it starts showing. So, because my black waistcoats are all too small, and I have all of those white ones, I decided to wear white ones, especially since Dubai is so hard to, and because these have to be obviously washed at least every month, they will get worn out relatively quickly, and then I will try to find an original black one. So I actually have a lot of those. These are from the late 1910s or very early 1920s, and these are identical. I got them in set a long time ago, but I only began wearing them recently, so they are still practically new. I spent more than an hour. I probably spent at least like half an hour, 20 minutes, probably 20 minutes touching that, and then more than an hour ironing it. And now I understand why these master-like waistcoats, usually they would have been worn in the evening, normally they were meant to be worn in the evening. They were meant to take removable waistcoat studs, but the system to screw them in broke. So prior to starting it, a long time ago, 3 years ago, when it started breaking, I actually took out the little